Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I hope you liked that thumbnail. I hope you understood what I was trying to convey in that thumbnail, because today was a bit of a trimming day. It's exactly what we talked about last night in the video. I shared how I had the gut feeling that we would see a bit of profit taking and selling pressure in the memory sector today. It just, after the explosive growth, they felt a bit overextended. We were looking at the RSI. In many cases, it was over the 70 mark, showing a sign of being oversold. And we were seeing the after hour moves all facing selling pressure. So it just felt like today was going to be a day where we saw a little bit of pressure, a step back, and we saw some profit taking. It was exactly what we saw, because if you looked at your screen, you saw Micron, SanDisk, Western Digital, and Seagate all in the red today. But if you were only looking at the closing price, you missed a massive part of the story today. I'm going to show you that in the charts. It happened about 1:30 this afternoon, because the memories trade is not cooling off at all. The selling that we saw today was not due to any change in demand, any pricing collapse, and any downgrades from price analysts. This was not a fundamental sell-off at all. This was a surgical extraction, or in my opinion, we'll call it a healthy reset for the trade. The memory stocks have been on an explosive run now for a couple of weeks. So today, I feel like the memory sector had a chance to take a breath. But when I show you the data later in the video, I'm going to prove to you that the whales have not left this trade. In fact, they are using the volatility that we see right now to shake out retail investors and to lock in positions at better prices before we see the next leg up. If you haven't done it already, hit like, hit subscribe to the channel. Let's dive in and talk about the Fab Four, the memory titans, and the action we saw today. But first, before we do that, I have to show you a huge momentous event that happened today. We finally did it. We finally had a chance to cross the 7,000 barrier with the S&P 500. We have tracked to this. We have talked about it prior to Operation Epic Fury when we were getting close. But today, we made history with crossing 7,000 with the S&P 500. We saw the NASDAQ also go on, I think it's 11th straight day of growth. So are we seeing a bull run start again? Drop a comment below. Do you feel that way? Do you think we're back into a bull run? It certainly feels that way with the Mag 7. The Mag 7 has been on fire. The last few trading sessions, you can see here, it led the way. It drove the S&P 500 over the 7,000 mark. Look at the neon green, the deep green. Those are the ones that were the big movers today. They're all the Mag 7 stocks for the most part. Tesla almost up 8% today. Microsoft, strong day overall. Apple, 3%. The others doing well as well. Unfortunately, we saw a lot of our key semiconductor stocks, like memory, like some of the picks and shovels, were down today. We saw ASML have a bit of a pullback after their earnings, with some concerns around the Match Act and their ability to sell into China. Remember, we talked that's 30% of their overall sales. I think that had a little spillover effect into the memory stocks today as well. No question about it. But there's two other stories that had an impact on Micron today. And the first one came out this morning. It's a little bit about insider selling. It's a massive sale by one of their executive vice presidents. You can see down here, VP sold $10 million worth of shares, about 24,000 shares in the range of 421 to 421.87 today. Massive move. You know, I can't blame any individual. I mean, if I had 10 million in shares to sell, I probably would sell it too. I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but I probably would as well. But sometimes the street interprets that differently. All right. They ask themselves, we see a man who is in a leadership position at Micron, who knows the order book better than anyone else in the world. The man who sees the HBM4 yields for NVIDIA Vera Rubin. And why are they selling $10 million in stock right now? When a C-suite executive like this, when it sells, when a stock is near an all-time high, it sends a signal to the sector. It sends a signal to the market overall that, you know, this stock is at a high. There's no longer easy money to be made. And so I think that's a little bit of fear and anxiety that pushed the stock down today this morning as well. To me, I don't read it that way. I think, like I said, if I'm just being honest, let me know if you guys in the comments who feel the same way. If I had $10 million of shares to sell for Micron right now, I probably would sell it too. Anytime I could put $10 million in my personal bank account and give security to my family long-term, I'm going to do it. There's no question about it. But that was a factor today. And then tonight, there was a factor that just came out maybe a half hour ago or so. This could have an impact on the stock tomorrow. I just curious to see what the development is. But you're hearing reports from a Korean newspaper saying that Samsung is accelerating their HBM4E development to ship samples to NVIDIA shortly. I think if I scroll down, it doesn't give a time frame. Oh, by next month this year. So Samsung is accelerating. Sorry, guys, accelerating their development of their next generation high bandwidth memory. Their 4 shipped to NVIDIA by next month, according to the South Korean media overall. And so we know the company was the first. They call out here, Samsung was the first of their peers to begin mass production of HBM4. Now it looks like they're racing ahead of both SK Hynix and Micron to get an HBM4E to the market overall. So we'll see what impact that has on the overnight. We can get to that a little bit in the back end of the video. We'll see what impact it has on the stock when it opens tomorrow. But let's go over and just take a look at how the chart actually looked today overall. Here's the tail of the tape for Micron. We'll talk about that one first. Let me close this box for you as well. But you can clearly see where we started with Micron. Right here was the closing candle yesterday and kind of how we opened today. Just what we thought. We would see some selling pressure right out of the gate, kind of drove the stock down over here. It got down right in here to a low of about 444. Saw a nice recovery there overall, but then we did see it dip back down to this level of 439. If you remember my video yesterday, I just said I thought we would see a back test for Micron to get to that 435, 440 level. It's just what I felt we would see, that next level of support overall. I even said we'll see how hungry the whales are with what closing cross at what we saw yesterday at 465. They apparently weren't as hungry in the morning for that because it slipped down to 440 over here, but nice response overall. Look at that closing from like 130 on. We just jumped over there. That was a really nice kind of bull trend right to end the day. Push back up to 456. Closed today, Micron at 456.23. So really nice overall. I think from what I can see in this candle pattern, we had a flush in the morning. We're going to see that with all 4 of these stocks when we go through. Had a major flush, just what we thought we would see, some selling, some profit taking, selling pressure throughout the morning. But we definitely saw some institutional absorption here, institutional accumulation, as to finish out the day overall. That move from about 130 to close was just a nice, steady, ascending climb up. You can see it here. It's just a nice climb all the way up to finish back up to 456. Solid level overall for the stock. And if we look at that nice closing volume at the end down there, it's a really nice finish. I think based on this technical pattern overall, what I'm looking for tomorrow, I want to see if we test and if we can get support at that 450, 455 range again. If we can hold 450 tomorrow, I think that is a new kind of battleground support for this stock. If we open above it, or if we open above today's close, so if we can open above 456, I don't know if that'll be possible looking at the after hours right now, but if we can open and hold 450, I think we're going to be ready to test that 465 again and maybe push to the 470 again. You know how I feel about that 470 number, but that's what I'm looking for. Although I will say, if that Samsung news I just shared with you, if that picks up more traction overnight, or if there's more fears from the ASML earnings, feeling a little bit of bearish sentiment, we could see more pressure on Micron tomorrow. We could see it push back down to that 439 level, 435 support level overall. So if we see that, that'll show us that today's V shape at the end of the day wasn't conviction at all. It was just a bit of a dead cat bounce. I don't think that'll happen. I think we'll hold about 450. We'll see a little bit of a sluggish start, but I do think the stock will rally and find support again, just like we did today. Now I'm going to go over and jump over to the next stock, which showed actually the best candle pattern today out of all of them. Was the best performing stock in the sector today, almost finished positive. So this stock, Western, finished at 365 today, down just over $1, $1.22, 0.33. Really nice recovery. If you just look on the graph, you can see massive selling pressure right from the get-go. Look at this first 20 minutes. Boom, 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 like drove down. Even this one drove further down, but we started to see buying. We hit the floor there at 351 and started to see some buyers step back in for Western Digital overall. And you can see a nice V recovery, what we saw multiple times. This was a little bit of liquidity flush right away in the morning. You see that trap that happened in the morning right out of the gates, first 20, 30 minutes, massive volume spikes going down. Look at the red volume bars underneath there showing that as well. Flushing out the weak hands. Right here, we pushed this stock down, flush out the weak hands, but we found the bottom, we found support, and the stock moved again. But look at that afternoon momentum. This is a bit of blue sky breakout right here. It is just a strong upward climb overall, climbing right back up to where the stock almost closed yesterday. What we need to watch for Western Digital tomorrow is it closed near the top. Remember, 366 was an all-time high for this stock. It closed right back up that. It closed near the top of its daily range at all as well. So if we can see it open up positive tomorrow or bounce with some strong momentum, get above that 360 level, this is going to trigger a blue sky for the, in my opinion, for the stock. There is no resistance. We will push up, probably could push up towards the 378 level because there's just no technical resistance until probably that 378 overall. I think you could see this stock push up. The only other risk I put on Western Digital in the back of my head right now is the earnings call is at April 30th. It's approaching quickly in about 2 weeks or so. So there very well could be some volatility as we approach that earnings call at the end of the day. Let's jump over and take a look at the other storage king, Seagate, and just look at the difference. Look at the finish with Western, the conviction that we had there. We had similar conviction with Seagate, maybe not as steep, not as strong overall, but definitely sentiment was the same to start the day as you saw with Seagate. It flushed right out of the gates, right? We saw a sharp sell-off right in the morning, shake out of the weak hands. This was the first hour of this stock all the way. Look at here, got all the way down into here. Like this was much more of a sell-off than we saw with Western. Yeah, I'll go back just to show you Western. You can see Western's candles were only about 20 minutes before we started seeing some buyback. Seagate was a little more prolonged here until it finally hit that low here of about 503. Didn't break the 500 level, which is nice to see, but we saw support come back. We had a little sideways consolidation here through the afternoon, but right about that 130 range again, it started to take off. It had an afternoon rally. Same thing that we saw with Western Digital. So we saw those final 2 hours that this stock pushed up. It closed at 519 today. I think 519.60 was maybe the exact. It was down about 2.5%, but it recovered $16 a share in those last 2 hours overall. Moving from the low down here all the way up to the close, about a $16 gain in the stock in those last few hours. So that was a nice sign to see overall. I would say don't let the 2.5% drop with Seagate fool you today. We have to remember this stock has been on a massive 11-day run. Today was a back test. It was a healthy reset for the stock overall. It's probably what should have happened, what we've been waiting for. It's a really healthy sign with the stock. The storage bottleneck is real for both Western and Seagate. Seagate's nearline capacity is fully allocated through 2026. And as long as we hold that 500 floor, the trend is your friend with this stock. I think tomorrow's game plan for me with Seagate is what I'll be looking for is I'm going to watch that 510 level of support. If it opens, once we open, if we can hold 510 or above, if we stay at that support, I think Seagate right now will open in the green. The after hours right now is it's right about flat, just trending a little in the green. We'll see it towards the end of the video. It'll be a surprise for both of us. But if we can hold that 510, I think we can see it start to push back to the 520 overall. It'll confirm the move, the conviction we had at the end of the day as well. You got to remember, this was the #1 pick for Morgan Stanley. They put their price target on it at 582 a share. I think we have a chance with Seagate to keep pushing up towards that 582 a share. Now let's talk about the most interesting one today, the one that has probably been on all of our minds the last couple of days just because we have seen such a flush with it. We saw it yesterday. We had a good recovery back. Remember, I think it was just an $8 a loss of the share the way it finished yesterday, but it flushed again today as well. Massive flush right out of the gate. You can see it all the way down. Got to here's where we hit the low level overall for the day. We got down to about in this candle 874. Had a massive kind of a nice recovery back up to about 896 here. 899. And then a little bit of recovery, just a sideways consolidation and finished at 891 today overall. So SanDisk has for sure been the most pressure on this stock. We thought I thought it would definitely be some profit taking. I thought it would be later in the week, but there's no question. I think what I'm seeing and feeling right now is just a little bit of shakeout, some pressure that we're seeing on this stock over. Remember, passive funds that manage over 600 billion in assets are going to be forced to buy billions of dollars of SanDisk shares before the market opens on Monday. So I think we may be seeing some institutional players that are deliberately trying to shake weak hands out of this stock to try to push it down as low as they can before they fill those mandatory orders so they can fill it at a lower cost basis. That's just kind of what I'm feeling overall with it as well. I would not let the red candles scare you for SanDisk today. It's not a sign of weakness. I look at it as a liquidity grab overall. The big funds have to buy this stock by Monday. They are using today's volatility to shake all of us investors out of our position so they can take the position. They spent all day today pinning this stock down, triggering stop losses, shaking out everyone they can so they can fill their multi-billion-dollar orders at a discount. If you sold this SanDisk today at $8.91 or below, you may have potentially just handed the whales one of your shares at a discounted price, but especially since they have no choice but to buy them. So I would say, for me, in my opinion, I think SanDisk is going to move up again as we start to see the NASDAQ 100 inclusion and the forced position that these ETFs and these other funds have to buy to fill those and to get their weighting with SanDisk in place. So overall, for me, if I take a look at tomorrow's game plan, I just repeat what we kind of went through overall. I think when the bell hits tomorrow at 9:30, I'm going to be looking for a couple things. One, Micron, can we hold that 450 level? If Micron opens above today's close, which I don't think it will, and let's just, let's jump back before we close and just take a look at the after hours just real quickly, because I said I was going to do that. Look at this. SanDisk is up almost $4 right now in the after hours. So there's the sign. I'm telling you that this stock is going to be forced to move up. And I won't go through them all, but we see Western Digital is down by about 0.42%, $1.50. Micron is down by 0.5%, $2.55. It's holding that 453 right now. And Seagate is up at 420. So we've got two up and we've got two down right now in the after hours. Solid sign. The two that we thought, right? We thought SanDisk based on the inclusion, the mandatory inclusion, and Seagate just with everything going on around it, as I mentioned. So with Micron, I'll go back. I'm looking at the 450 level. If we can hold that position at the opening overall, and we don't get more fears that come in tonight based on a Samsung story or based on some insider selling pieces that have come out, I would expect us to push up towards that close that we saw on Tuesday, that 460 again. If we see more fears, we could see a bit of a back test to 439. SanDisk, as I mentioned, I'm watching the 890 level. We're going to be above it right now if everything stays the same. If we hold there, the inclusion rally starts tomorrow afternoon. The target is to reclaim 950 by the end of the week. We'll start to see this stock move because we're going to start to see massive funds buying shares. Don't let them buy your shares at a discount. Make them wait. Make them pay more for the shares. And then finally, when we look at the storage king of Western Digital, they're in blue sky territory right now. The way they close, they're right at their all-time high again. If they open up green, I don't think we see any technical resistance with Western until we get to about the 378 level overall. So we may see some insider selling. We saw insider selling today with Micron. We've seen a little bit with Seagate as well. But remember, the data lakes are only getting deeper and they're only getting bigger. There's only more demand for the players overall right now in the market. Ignore the noise the best you can. Ignore the distractions. Follow the money in the trade right now. The charts don't lie today. We saw the massive support in the afternoon. If there wasn't demand, there wasn't conviction for these stocks, the selling would have continued. The buyers stepped back in. The institutions stepped back in the afternoon. They all stepped back into the game. I'm going to keep my eye on the pre-market as we get ready for tomorrow morning. I'll see you at the opening bell. Drop any comments below. Let me know your thoughts on the day, but I hope you guys have a great night.